Favor say aye.
Aye.
Minutes approved. All right, Zach, there you are. You moved on me.
I did. Mr. Fail was in my seat earlier.
I apologize.
It's okay, it's okay. All right, so we've got a few rezoning requests for you guys today. So the first one is Bill Lunsford. He's rezoning a pretty small parcel, 0.25 acres on 17th Avenue East from SFR3 to GC. So this is just past Home Depot. The vacant Tosiali property, Mr. Tyner, you probably are familiar with,
Yes.
is right here. I'll show you the aerial. And so there's just this existing small house here that's a 1-bedroom, 1,600 square foot home. They've tried to rent it out, but haven't been successful, and they just want to rezone it to GC to be able to put like an office, to make it into like a office space for insurance or something of that nature.
Is that behind the haircutting place?
It is, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. And so light commercial office use. They plan to keep the structure as is, but they're going to do some renovations to allow for, the parking and everything like that, making it to where it's accessible for ADA compliance and everything. But that's the request. It does conform to framework, and then these are the permitted uses, and it was unanimously recommended to be approved.
Okie doke.
All right, next one we have is A&R LLC. So this is 0.15 acres. It's a very small parcel over by J&J Flooring down 359. So I'll show you where the location is. So this is showing a very large parcel. However, when they went through Planning Commission to consolidate the lot, because there were a ton of lot lines that existed on this property, we realized that small portion that's red right there was actually not in city limits. And so they're requesting to annex into city limits. And of course, they're requesting tonight to pre-zone the property to IG, which reflects what they currently have here on the rest of the property. So, so that was kind of what happened. They identified that, I didn't even know this was outside of city limits. Let's get it into city limits and just rezone it to IG because that's, what it should be.
What district was that?
That is, let's see. So it's not city, what would that district be? It's kind of by Sunbelt. Bros.
Sunbelt would be John Akash's.
Sorry, I should have had that. I actually might have it right here. So this will be District 2.
Where is Sunbelt? Down Scotland?
Yeah. Well, no, their new location. Right, their new location is kind of on the corner of, like just south of this. So down 359.
Oh, okay.
Right.
That's where we are now.
Yeah. So J&J Flooring is over here. It's really just an industrial area. Hodgepodge of United Rentals, things like that over in this area. So anyway, that's what they're doing. It's a very small piece of property that they just want to get in the city limits and rezone to IG. And it was unanimously recommended for approval. And then our final one that I have for you tonight is another rezoning. So this is Mr. Crow's district, will be in Mr. Crow's district. This is off New Watermelon Road, close to McWright's Ferry intersection up there. They're rezoning from SFR1 to GC for a gas station. So this is just north of the Plots property that came to a little while ago. Oh, yes, sir. Yeah. So Lexington's Downs is right there, just south of this.
Is that Rick?
Rick Mayers, yes, sir.
Mayers.
And Mark
So they're
Herring.
petitioning to rezone it from SFR1 to,
GC, General Commercial. So it's currently not in city limits, and so when they annex into city limits, it automatically comes in as SFR1.
I thought it automatically came in as residential.
Right,
That's
SFR, yeah, that's residential. And you can see that they're mimicking the property to the south that was annexed and also rezoned.
That's email. Right.
This is the site plan that they're showing. It's going to be kind of a combination of a convenience store. They have Dunkin' Donuts and Domino's shown here. I think it's an Outrun as the gas station, and then some office spaces just down here as well. It
Is
does.
that a Chevron again? A Chevron?
I think it's Outrun is what they specified. I think Rick Mayers has some involvement in a lot of different types. It does not conform to framework, as you can see.
Back
Yes, sir.
up one. Framework shows this property is traditional neighborhood edge on the future land use character map.
Right, so,
Intended use does not conform.
yeah, so what they're requesting to do is rezone it to commercial. The framework identified this as traditional neighborhood edge, which is primarily single-family housing on different size lots, small lots, attached multifamily, and connected to those commercial areas. And you can see that here on the future land use map. And then these are the permitted uses in GC.
So the vote tonight is to annex or not, or what?
So the vote tonight is to rezone the property. It's that pre-zoning is what we call it, so that they know when they go to annex on July 24th, they know that they're going to be coming into the city limits as the zoning district that they want. Otherwise, of course, if this was denied, they probably would not pursue annexation
So
and go back to the
planning
drawing board.
recommended to approve it by a vote of 5-1.
Yes, sir.
If, back up 2 or 3 slides, or one more.
Mhm.
Vote for
So what would be the
it.
justification for deviating from framework?
Right, yeah, so Planning Commission, I mean, Ms. Howard, if you remember correctly, but because of the southern property being GC and them feeling like, this.
Because the one just south of it has just been done the same thing too, is that right?
Right, but that one did match framework because that corner was identified as commercial. So it's more so closer to that intersection right there. And then as you shift further from the intersection, it was more residential moving out.
But
So it's a
they're-
little different of the situation, but
But they're right next.
right, they're right next to each
Right.
other. They felt like it could be an appropriate area for commercial development. And so they recommended.
Mr. Pons, was this the one that we had, the discussion about the septic tank and them doing this development, whether it was going to be rezoned or not?
Right, they had mentioned that because they have to annex in to get on city sewer, that they would pursue doing it as a through, I think Mr. Gardner could maybe speak more on what they can and can't do there, but I just know that they would have to they would have to be in city limits in order to connect to city sewer. So they need that for services, but also for Sunday sales as well is one of their reasons.
Oh, yeah.
So at the Planning and Zoning Commission, they gave a strong argument that whether they were, this property was rezoned and they were annexed in or not, that they would go ahead with development.
So this is the same one we experienced on the other one. It is,
Right.
if you don't zone it, we will do it anyway in the county as we're allowed to.
Exactly.
And they would not be under our zoning regulations, which
Okay.
has higher standards.
So I'm
Yeah.
not speaking for everybody on the commission because I don't remember all of the conversations, but it just seemed like it was better to have them come into the city and be under our standards and requirements than not.
Or it's
because
gonna be
they-
right next to it, be a gas station,
That was my
anyway
argument
with
too.
septic tank.
I agree with that too, Raven, because at least you got, the city didn't have regulations we would not have if they
That's right.
remain in the county, right?
Yes, sir.
Zach, what is the no vote was based on, do you remember?
Ms. Prince,
What did Dina say?
And I
It-
think it was because it went against framework.
right, that was her reasoning.
But it was 5-1, right?
I think that one of the biggest issues, and I've spoken with the developer a couple times, even today with some text, but a lot of the concern is about what potentially happens on that second piece of property,
Mhm.
because the petitioner, the idea has been out there, and they've said it, they say that they haven't made their mind up, I mean, but they're talking about putting boat storage in there.
Yeah.
And a lot of the neighbors are concerned about, if that's not in the city, right? Because what is that gonna look like? How is that gonna be handled? All this other stuff. I mean, and I think there's several adjoining property owners that are very concerned about that,
Mhm.
and what kind of precedent that sets. But I know that's not what we're talking about today.
Yes, sir.
But I would expect a lot of several residents to discuss that, several residents to ask us to consider that we don't allow selective annexations into the city.
Mhm.
You know, we had either all or none, you know, like it would be, and that's what I think you're gonna hear from
Mhm.
people is all or none. Either you bring both of the pieces into the city, or why would we allow one and not the other? So I think that's kind of what will be, I would think, discussed.
And that was
Today?
mentioned. That was mentioned at Planning Commission. They didn't put this as part of their recommendation, but they did state that they would like to see that portion come into the city as well
right.
in the future once they have their development plan and everything for it.
Is that what the developer was saying, the petitioner? Or that
That was
that was
what.
the comments of the residents?
Right.
So can we require them to annex everything into the city as part of this whole, like?
Well,
can we do that?
so they're not requesting to annex everything into the city tonight,
Yeah.
and so
Cut yourself, you're bleeding.
it's up to you guys whether or not
Oh.
you'd want to take them as separate or you'd only annex if you wanted to
Thank you.
bring all of it into the city.
Is
All in.
And get
All
it.
in.
the,
Oh,
There you go, got it.
is
haven't been like this all day.
based on, the current zoning and everything, I mean, if that piece of property was brought into the city, if it was annexed into the city, what would it have to come in? And would it, I mean, to be able to do what I mean, again, I don't know that they've made their mind up on that.
Right.
Because, I mean, in all fairness to them, I want them to talk about that, because
Yeah.
what they've said is, I think initially they said that, they haven't made their mind up. I think business is gonna drive that decision, you know, how the business goes and all that, but what happens in that case
Right.
if let's say that's what we wanted, or we asked them to do?
So you're saying, to clarify
If
the
you annex,
question.
well, how would that process be to annex the guest, I mean, the boat storage thing, I mean, that.
Right.
How would that be coming into the city, and could that be done under our rules?
Right, yeah, so, hypothetically, they're coming in, or they're requesting to just annex that front portion tonight.
Right,
So if you guys wanted both of them to come in before you even annex one, then they'd have to go back to the drawing board, go back to Planning and Zoning Commission and get both of those pieces of property and then bring it forward to you guys as one kind of annexation request. If they wanted in the future, they come up, they get, hypothetically, they get approved for, annexing into the city here and rezoned to GC, and they develop this property, and then they have their plan for their back portion, the boat storage area. They would then come back through Planning Commission and then go to you guys to get annexed into the city for that portion. And have to rezone as well. GC would be an appropriate zoning district if they wanted to do it that way.
and is there a permitted use for this under GC?
There is, yes, sir.
I am expecting tonight for some renderings and some things to be presented. I mean, the petitioner said that they want to present, because I had asked them several weeks ago to kind of, I think the concern is about that more, but what is this gonna look like? How's it gonna affect all the property owners? Because there's a lot of people who are real concerned about I mean, both of them, but I mean, really,
Mhm.
they're worried about the secondary piece of this. So anyway, look, I'm sure there will be a good crowd of people tonight, based on emails and based on conversations I've had. I would expect some people to be coming tonight to speak to us. So,
Thanks.
thank you, Zach. Perfect time.
Yeah.
You didn't bleed to death.
I know.
It's good.
Hey, Antonius,
Just scratch yourself.
I don't know. It's like a tsunami.
All right, good afternoon, Council and Mayor. We have two applications tonight. The first one is for Lee's Restaurant, Tuscaloosa LLC, DBA Asia Buffet. They're applying for a restaurant retail liquor license located at 1320 McFarland Boulevard East, Suite 710. Hours of operation will be Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. And again, Friday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 9:30. This is an area map of the location. Zoning map, as well as adjacent business map. This was recommended by, at committee meeting last week to come before you guys for city council.
Okay.
All right, and then the next application I have is Party Down LLC. They're applying for a special retail less than 7 days at 2025 Soca Park, for the 2025 Soca Park Rodeo located at 6025 Watermelon Road. Again, it's a special retail less than 7 days license.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
that all you have today?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
What's going on there?
It's gonna be a rodeo.
All right, Chris, no, I'm sorry, Mayor Maddox.
I don't have anything, in terms of an updates, but we will ask for an executive session for too long.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I made it. All right, just a quick update for y'all about Household Hazardous Waste Day this past weekend. First, huge shout out to Nucor and our special events group. They did a great job on making this happen. Of course, it grows every year. This year was no exception. We were 70 customers over what we were last year. So we serviced 572 customers in 4 hours. So approximately 143 cars came through the line in every hour until 12 o'clock. 27 city employees worked the event, and we sent away 2 tractor trailer loads of hazardous material. So about 80,000 pounds. So
Goodness.
a lot of that was.
I was
had to be recycled.
impressed. The cars were moving well, everything went.
It's quite a line, isn't it?
Yeah, you had a bunch of people working hard over there,
Yes, sir. It was hot.
including John Smith.
Yeah.
We do this once a year or twice a year.
Once a year.
What's the special, I mean, other than 27 city employees working, what special measures do we have to take to have a hazardous waste?
So we have a contract with a hazardous material handling company called MXI. So all that stuff is hazardous material on site. Fire department provides a hazmat unit on site just in case we have a spill. All that stuff is hand unloaded from the vehicle. The people that come through the line never get out of their car. We handle it, take it to MXI, they separate it, and then from there it is loaded onto a trailer and transported to wherever it's going to be recycled to.
And y'all put to 140 cars an hour.
An hour, yes, sir.
Chick-fil-A show.
All right.
Chris, I want to thank you too. We had a situation where a lady had a problem with recycling, with her recycling bins, and you guys were at her front door in less than 30 minutes.
Yes,
To
sir.
call, and that's just, she texted me back. She said, my goodness, she said, I thought maybe they'd come the next day, but they were.
Somebody
We're
was
trying to
doing
stay
everything.
customer focused and be even better than we have been at that. And that's a big goal for ESD.
It sure doesn't go unnoticed, that's for sure. Thank you
Yes,
for
sir.
that.
Thank y'all.
Okay, Brandy?
All right, So we've got a bunch to go over today.
Oh, great.
I know. So on that packet that you guys have in front of you guys, if you remember, we have the Tuscaloosa Public Library. They have two vacancies that we need to fill. We accepted resumes, and in front of you, you'll have the list of all the applicants along with the residents or the district of residents.
Okay, I don't know. I think Raven and Joe and myself all like, one of those in the public library is Catherine Drago. I would like to put her name up, and then if anybody else has, there's two, so if anybody else wants to consider somebody today, we can, or, and if anybody, if you don't have a problem with Catherine Drago, we could make her one of them.
I'd
Is
like
that
to
okay?
put Lisa Waldrop Shattuck in the mix also, please.
Okay, so we have, I know 3 for Catherine, and we got 1 for Lisa. Anybody else have any comments for today, or would you rather wait until we meet our next meeting, or what? You fine with those two? Everybody good with those two? Okay, all righty.
All right, so the next one that we've got is the Tuscaloosa County Industrial Development Authority. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 terms that are up for reappointment. There is one person that has chosen not to be reappointed. So there will be at least one vacancy that you guys will need to fill. So we can advertise for resumes if you guys would like.
You know what you want to do?
Yeah, we need to do that.
Norman, I think we advertised for 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
I agree with that.
Okay. So everybody good with those, reappointing those 6, we just take resumes for 1, that'd be all right?
Okay.
Okay,
The next one that we have is the Tuscaloosa Police and Fire Pension Board of Trustees. If you guys remember, about 4 years ago, you had Brian Garrity as your appointee to that particular board. He has expressed a desire to be reappointed, and this would run concurrent, his term would run concurrent with y'all's council term. So he will not leave this board until 2029.
I would endorse him for doing that. I don't know if he was elected for punishment, but he has done.
yeah, 'cause that's
He
tough.
came out of the blue and volunteered for that.
Yes, sir.
and has done yeoman's work.
Mhm.
When we go to RSA, will this
I was on that board at one time.
dissolve?
So the board will have to take some type of action to either become inactive or dissolve themselves.
So this should be.
So
approved.
it could be a shortened term, yes. But now if they do have additional actions or additional things that they need, business that they need to take care of, they'll stay aboard until they finish that, and then they can either become inactive or just dissolve themselves.
Years ago, the council voted me to be on that board, and I know now they hated me.
Yeah.
They didn't like me.
I don't like.
It was tough.
All right, so we've got Brian Garrity being reappointed, and then one more, you guys, Ms. Howard. She is a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission. She has expressed a
wants
desire
be
to
She wants to
stay.
stay on there, right?
I do.
Okay.
All right, so we'll have all of those on
Not
the,
everybody jump to take that.
that's all I've got for you
Even though
guys.
somebody tried to once before, didn't they?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I relive that.
Raise on your hand too.
What's wrong with me? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Brandy. Ms. Johnson. All right, Tom.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
It is a nice afternoon. It's not raining today, so.
Thank goodness.
I'm going to be starting on resolutions and ordinances not of a general nature, permanent operation on page 25 and 26 of your agenda. Be authorizing the chief financial officer to draw drafts for the University Boulevard East Improvement Right-of-Way Project for $198,356. Want to commend Christina Houghton and OCA and Clint Bradford and OCE. They've done a great job on that. They should be congratulated.
It's been tough.
They've done a good job. Page 27 and 28, you'll be authorizing amendment number 3 to the subrecipient funding contract with Sand Inc., DBA Turning Point, and authorizing the mayor to execute an amended subrecipient funding contract under the city's Emergency Solutions Grant Program. And we heard about that at projects last week. Page 29 and 30, be authorizing amendment number 3 to the subrecipient funding contract with the Salvation Army and authorizing the mayor to execute the amended subrecipient funding contract under the city's 2023 Emergency Solutions Grant Program. That was likewise heard at projects last week. Page 31, you'll be authorizing a minor public works contract with Building Specialties Company for $9,136. That was heard at projects last week. Page 32, authorizing a minor public works contract with Straight Line Fence LLC for a total of $3,313. That was heard at projects last week as well. Page 33, you'll be authorizing a minor public works contract with John Wayne Plumbing for a total of $51,150. That was at projects last week. Page 34, authorizing a professional services agreement with TTL for construction materials testing for the Savings Center project for a total of $367,720. That was at projects last week. Page 35 and 36 should be tentatively awarding a public works contract to Stone Building LLC for the Savings Center construction project in the amount of $74,194,493. Heard about that at projects as well last week. Page 37, you'll be authorizing the mayor to execute an amendment to the lease and maintenance agreement with the State of Alabama Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, Wildlife and Freshwater Fisheries Division in regards to the Riverview Boat Ramp. That was at properties last week. Page 38, you'll be authorizing the mayor to execute a lease agreement with Congresswoman Terry Sewell for use of office space within City Hall. That will be heard more about that at projects this afternoon. Page 39 and 40, you'll be authorizing amendment number 10 to the 2022 B warrant series budget. That was heard at finance last week. Page 41, 42, authorizing amendment number 12 to the fiscal year 2025 general fund reserve for future improvements fund budget. That was heard at finance on the 20th, May 20th. Page 43, establishing the budget for the 2025 A warrant series budget. That was at finance last week. Page 44 to 47, you'll be authorizing certain actions with respect to general obligation warrants, federally taxable, Series 2025A of the City of Tuscaloosa. That was at finance last week. Page 48 to 51, authorizing certain actions with respect to general obligation warrants, federally taxable, Series 2025B of the City of Tuscaloosa. That was likewise heard at finance. Page 52 to 55, authorizing certain actions with respect to general obligation warrants that are taxable, 2025C. That was at finance last week. Page 56, you'll be authorizing amendment number 1 to the 2025C warrant series budget. That was heard at finance last time. In an ordinances and resolutions of a general nature permanent operation, you'll be approving the development plan for 105 Rice Mine Road North, Rice Mine Road Loop pursuant to the Riverfront District regulations. And that was heard at the Planning and Council last week. Page 59, you'll be reappointing members to the Airport Advisory Committee, Rush and Smith. And then on page 60, you'll be appointing and reappointing members to the Historic Preservation Commission, Pagani, Yarborough, Elabash, Shattuck, and Stone. And that is, the mayor said we do have 2 issues for executive session today, but that's all I have unless you have some questions for me.
Any questions for Tom?
Thank you.
Thank you, buddy. All right. We have, projects, finance, public safety, and then, of course, council starts at 5. Wednesday, Historic Preservation Commission will meet at 5 o'clock in council chambers. Monday, Planning and Zoning meets, and then next Tuesday, we will not have council or committee meetings due to a lack of quorum, of course, the trip to New York. Remind everybody, if you didn't respond to me yesterday, we do have a lunch with the council and Dr. Bell's, well, I still say his staff, Thursday, 11:30 to 1:30, and we will leave if you want to ride, which because I know kind of where it is, but we'll have a transportation leaving here at City Hall. Please, we'll leave by 11:15 so we can get there on time. It's close to the Welcome Center, the Randall Welcome Center. It's close to there. This Thursday, 11:30 to 1:30. And of course, Martha Griffith to set it up, and it's always I always look so forward to it. And then of course the nice lunch, too, will be provided, so, please let me know if everybody's gonna go. And, or if you're gonna go on your own.
All right. Did you
Yeah,
see some of my
yeah,
messages?
we'll meet down where.
Since those directions are kind of confusing to me, I'll ride with you.
They are. They
Yeah.
really are. They're confusing to me too, but I appreciate, Scott. Scott, will you be taking us? So we'll arrive around 11, so we need to leave by 11:15 from here. So, anyway, I look very much forward to it. All right, is there any other comments? Anybody in the room? Okay, there have a motion to go into executive session.
Second.
Motion second. Tom?
Yes, sir. As your deputy city attorney and attorney practice, authorized practice law in the state of Alabama, I certify that the following matters are appropriate for discussion in executive session. One is to discuss the consideration the governmental body is willing to offer or accept in considering the purchase, sale, exchange, lease, or market value of real property, and to discuss preliminary negotiations involving matters of trade or commerce in which the governmental body is in competition with private individuals or entities or other governmental bodies in Alabama or in other states or foreign nations, or to discuss matters of information of the character defined or described in the Alabama Trade Secret Act.
Okay, have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.